Okay, so are you ready to go beyond business as usual? Because today we're doing a deep dive on digital transformation,
It's about time.
right?
Everyone's talking about it.
We've got a ton of articles here. And of course, this book, Beyond Business as Usual, which seems like it's the guide to digital transformation.
It really is. And the thing is, it's not just about surviving in this digital world
Yeah,
anymore.
you got to thrive.
You have to thrive, you have to transform, or you're going to get left behind, basically. The book lays it all out. It's a really great roadmap.
Okay, so how do we even begin? Where do we start?
Well, the book starts by, I think dispelling this myth that digital transformation is just about buying the latest and greatest technology.
Right.
It's way more than that.
Yeah, so what does it actually mean? What is it really?
It's really about integrating technology and strategy into every single part of your business.
Okay.
How you create your products, how you deliver your services, how you interact with customers. It's really about changing your DNA to thrive in this digital world. Not just survive, but to thrive.
Become a digital-first organization
Exactly.
from the inside out.
From the inside out.
And the book really emphasizes the consequences of not transforming. You're going to miss opportunities. You're going to lose customers. There's even that story in there about Smith& Co.
Oh, yeah.
That really hit home for me.
Smith& Co., I know exactly what you're talking about. Classic example of what the book calls the complexity trap.
Right.
They kept trying to patch up their old systems, and it just completely backfired. They were so busy just keeping the lights on.
It's like they were so busy working in their business, they couldn't work on their business.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That they missed the bigger picture completely.
Yeah, it's giving me Blockbuster vibes.
Oh,
They had the chance to partner with Netflix.
I know. And they said no.
Completely missed the boat.
Huge mistake. Blockbuster is like, the poster child for the cost of inaction. They were too comfortable. Too comfortable with their business model. They didn't see how fast the world was changing around them.
So how do we avoid becoming the next Blockbuster or the next Smith& Co.? The book makes a really compelling argument that digital transformation isn't just about survival, it's about boosting your bottom line.
It is.
Tell me more about that.
It's not just a cost of doing business, it's an investment. And it's an investment with huge potential returns. I mean, imagine like streamlined operations,
Okay.
personalized customer experiences. You can use data to make decisions.
So hold on. So how does that translate? How does that translate into profits?
Well, think about it. When you streamline your operations, you become more efficient.
Oh,
When you're more efficient, what happens? You save money.
okay.
And then you create these really amazing customer experiences that people love and they tell their friends and they come back for more and they're willing to spend more.
Right.
And then on top of that, you can use data to understand what's working and what's not. So you're not just throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks. You're making smart, strategic decisions.
So it's not just a technology spending spree.
No.
It's a strategic investment that can actually increase your profitability.
Exactly.
And I thought the book did a really good job of kind of breaking down how all of this looks financially.
Yeah.
But I was really interested in this concept of emotional intelligence,
Yes.
or EI, because I don't often hear that talked about when we talk about digital transformation.
Yeah. It was one of the things that I found so fascinating about the book was this focus on emotional intelligence. Because, yes, technology is important,
Right.
but it's people who actually drive transformation
Right.
at the end of the day.
So how does that work? So EI is like the secret sauce of digital transformation.
I would say it's the key ingredient that makes everything else work.
Okay.
Because if you think about it, digital transformation requires this massive shift in mindset
Yeah.
and culture. You're asking people to change how they work,
Yeah.
how they think, how they interact with technology, and that's hard.
Yeah. It's a big ask.
It's a really big ask, and that's where emotional intelligence comes in because leaders, when they have high EI, they're able to navigate change in a way that's empathetic.
Right.
They can build trust with their teams. They can inspire their teams. They can create a culture of collaboration where everyone feels heard and everyone feels valued. And all of that is absolutely essential during a digital transformation.
It's about bringing people along on the journey, not dragging them kicking and screaming.
Exactly.
And I like that the book doesn't just mention this in passing. It actually gives, practical advice on how to recognize resistance,
Yeah.
how to communicate more clearly,
Yeah.
how to get the whole team involved.
Yeah, because it's about making sure everyone understands why we're doing this
Right.
and feels empowered to be a part of it.
Okay.
We're
Yeah.
all in this together. Create a culture where people are excited about the future, not afraid of it.
Right. And speaking of teams, because you mentioned teams, The book really doesn't sugarcoat this whole idea of building the right team
Right.
for this digital era. And it uses this phrase that kind of stopped me in my tracks, the ROI of cleaning house.
Yeah.
It's a very bold statement.
It is, but it's so true. It's so true because if you are, if you're holding on to unproductive employees, especially during a time of massive change, like you said,
Yeah.
it can really hold back the whole organization.
So what's the answer? How do you create an A team? How do you create that team that can actually handle a digital transformation?
Well, it really starts with attracting and retaining top talent, right?
Right.
You need people who are adaptable, who are excited about learning new things, who fit the culture that you're trying to build.
Right.
And the book goes into a lot of detail about how to do that. Things like building a strong employer brand, offering real growth opportunities, fostering a positive work culture. All of that is so important when you're trying to attract and retain those A players.
It's like you become a talent magnet, right?
Exactly.
Everybody wants to work for you.
Yeah.
So the book goes into that whole idea of becoming a talent magnet, which I thought was really interesting. But what about small businesses?
Yeah.
Is digital transformation even possible if you're a small business?
Mm-hmm.
Or is this just a game for big corporations with really deep pockets?
That's another myth that the book really kind of debunks. Because in reality, small businesses actually have a unique advantage in the digital world, and that is agility.
Okay.
They can adapt and pivot much faster than those big, huge companies.
They're like a speedboat, right?
Exactly.
They'll turn on a dime. Whereas the big companies are like
Huge ships.
giant ships trying to navigate.
Exactly.
I like that. So how do they leverage that agility, though? The book talks about partnering with those big companies, not just competing with them.
Exactly. Because, a lot of times smaller companies, they try to compete, right? Head to head. But what the book suggests is maybe there's a way to collaborate, to share resources, to share expertise. The book points to co-branding opportunities.
Co-branding. So give me an example of that. What does that look like in the real world?
Yeah, so a really good example of this is the Joybird and Sherwin-Williams partnership. So Joybird, they sell furniture, Sherwin-Williams paint. And they actually teamed up to create a line of exclusive paint colors that were inspired by Joybird's furniture designs.
Okay.
So if you buy a sofa from Joybird, you can get a curated selection of paint colors from Sherwin-Williams that perfectly match.
Oh, wow. That's brilliant.
It's really smart, right?
Yeah.
The customer gets, this kind of curated selection that helps them, decorate their home, create a certain look and feel. Both companies benefit because they get increased visibility and sales. It's a win-win for everyone.
It's like they're complementing each other.
Exactly.
They're not competing. They're saying, hey, we both have something to bring to the table. Let's work together. I love it. Okay, so small businesses, they can win in this digital game. But let's talk about managing projects in this new world, in this digital age. Because the book mentions something called agile methodologies, which honestly sounds a little intimidating to me.
It sounds very kind of, techie.
Right.
But think of it this way. Traditional project management, it's kind of like planning a road trip using a paper map, right?
Okay.
You've got your route all planned out, every stop along the way.
Yeah.
Agile is more like using GPS.
Okay.
You've got your destination in mind, but you're able to adapt to road closures and traffic and, even take a detour if you see something interesting.
Oh, I like that.
So it's a much more flexible approach.
So it's about being flexible, being able to change directions quickly, which in the digital landscape makes a lot of sense
Absolutely.
because everything's changing so
It's
fast.
constantly changing, yeah.
But can small businesses do that? I mean, it seems like you need like a whole team of project management experts to do agile.
Well, you don't necessarily have to have a whole team. The book actually suggests that small businesses might consider outsourcing.
Oh,
Outsourcing their project management. You bring in these experts who, this is what they do.
Right.
They live and breathe agile methodologies. They can help you navigate. It's like having a tour guide
yeah.
for your digital transformation journey.
Right. And they have that outside perspective that you might not have if you're so in the weeds of your business.
Exactly. Well, because you're so close to it, right? They can
Yeah.
come in and they can spot things, they can see risks and challenges that you might miss.
They can see the forest for the trees.
Exactly.
And the book also mentioned something kind of interesting about, biases within project teams.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, because it's easy to get caught in this echo chamber when everybody on your team thinks the same way.
Right.
And so, bringing in these outside consultants, it can really help to challenge assumptions,
Okay.
introduce fresh perspectives, which ultimately leads to, more innovative solutions.
So it's not just about getting the work done. It's about getting the right work done with the right approach, the right people, all of that,
Yeah.
which kind of leads into this whole discussion in the book about digital pioneers.
Yes.
Who are they and why should we care?
They're the trailblazers, right?
Yeah.
They're the ones who are constantly exploring these new territories, pushing the boundaries of what's possible. They're not just embracing change, they're anticipating it and they're creating it.
Okay. So these are the companies that are like leading the pack, the ones that are setting the trends.
Absolutely.
They're redefining industries.
Yeah.
So what makes them so special? What sets them apart? The book actually gives a whole roadmap for how to become a digital pioneer.
Yeah. It's really interesting.
So what are some of the key takeaways there?
It's not about having some brilliant CEO who has a crystal ball, right?
Right.
And can see into the future. It really comes down to building a culture of innovation where you're constantly experimenting. Data is king, and continuous improvement is just business as usual.
It's about being comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you're constantly having to change and evolve. And I thought it was really interesting that the book uses Kodak as a cautionary tale here.
Oh, Kodak, yeah.
Because they were the giant. They were the company.
They were. I mean, they were the kings of photography, and they missed it.
They missed the boat.
They missed the boat completely.
Why? What happened?
They were so focused on what they knew, right? They were so focused on film that they missed the digital wave.
They were too busy looking in the rearview mirror. They couldn't see what was coming up ahead.
Exactly. And it cost them. And the book talks about how one of the reasons why companies get stuck is that they focus too much on what they know,
Right.
what's comfortable,
Yeah.
and they fear what they don't understand.
Right. That old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Right. But in the digital age,
That can really backfire.
it can be fatal. So you have to break out of that. You can't be afraid to challenge the status quo.
So how do we do that? How do we break out of that status quo mindset?
Yeah.
Because it's so easy to get stuck in that rut.
Well, it starts with leadership, right? Leaders have to set the tone.
Okay.
They have to create a culture that embraces change, that embraces innovation, where it's okay to experiment,
Okay.
where failure is seen as a learning opportunity, not a reason to panic.
So it's not enough for the CEO to have this vision.
Right.
The whole organization, the whole culture has to embrace this idea that things are going to be changing. We have to adapt.
Exactly. You need everyone on board, and that's where data comes in.
Data. Okay. Tell me more. How does data play into all of this?
Because data can help you make these decisions.
Okay.
You're moving away from gut feelings and making decisions based on facts and evidence. And the book actually gives some really, concrete advice on how to collect and how to analyze data,
Okay.
how to use it to guide your transformation efforts.
So we're not just collecting data for the sake of collecting data.
Yeah.
We're using it to make better decisions.
Exactly. And to measure our progress, the book actually uses this analogy of data being like the compass and the map of your digital transformation journey.
I like that.
Because you're navigating uncharted territory, right? You need something to guide you. You need to make sure you're heading in the right direction.
So you're not just wandering aimlessly.
Exactly. And that's what data can do. It takes out the guesswork and it allows you to be much more strategic.
It's interesting, though, because we talk about data, we talk about technology, but it's easy to forget that there are actual human beings involved in all of this.
Yes.
And I think that's where the book's emphasis on emotional intelligence is so important.
Absolutely.
Because it's very easy to get caught up in the technology and forget about the people.
Yeah, because it's not just about implementing software.
Right.
Right. It's about making sure that your team has the skills and the support and, yes, the emotional intelligence to navigate all these changes that come with it. Because think about it. When you go through a digital transformation, you're often asking people to step outside of their comfort zone. Yeah. You're asking them to learn new things. Right. To maybe even, redefine their roles within the company. Yeah. And that can be really scary.
It can be really overwhelming.
It can be if you don't have that right support and that leadership.
So emotional intelligence is not just this nice-to-have soft skill. It's essential.
It's critical.
For digital transformation to be successful.
Yeah. And leaders, they really need to be able to read the room, so to speak.
Yep.
They need to understand what are the fears, what are the anxieties that their team might have.
Right.
And they need to communicate in a way that is clear but also empathetic.
It's about recognizing that human impact of
Yes.
those digital transformations and making sure that people feel supported throughout that process. And another thing that the book really stresses is building the right team. Right.
The right team.
It even says that if you are hanging on to unproductive employees,
Yeah.
that can actually sabotage your efforts.
It can. It really can. And I know it's hard.
It's hard to let people go.
It is hard.
But there's that phrase again, the ROI of cleaning house.
Yeah.
It sounds ruthless,
It does sound ruthless.
but, from a business standpoint.
You have to be willing to make those tough decisions sometimes.
Right.
Because ultimately, you're trying to build a team that can, that can really lead this charge.
Right. So how do you build that team? What are some of the things that the book recommends?
Well, it starts with attracting and retaining that top talent, right?
Okay.
You're putting together this team of, almost like digital superheroes,
I like that.
each with their unique superpowers, right?
Okay.
You're looking for people who are adaptable, who are excited about learning new things, who are passionate about using technology
All right.
to solve problems. These are the people who are going to thrive.
Right. But it's not enough just to get them in the door. No.
You have to keep them. What does the book say about retaining that top talent?
You have to create an environment where they feel valued,
Okay.
where they feel challenged, where they feel like they can do their best work. It's about fostering this culture of continuous learning. Give them opportunities to grow, to develop their skills, recognize their contributions, reward them, make them feel appreciated.
So they feel like they're making a difference.
Exactly.
It sounds like building that strong company culture is really key to all of this.
It's essential. It's
Right.
not just about the technology, it's about the people. It's about creating an environment where people feel inspired, empowered to embrace those challenges and those opportunities of the digital age.
So we've talked about the importance of leadership and emotional intelligence and building that strong team, but it sounds like a lot of work.
It is.
Is there a shortcut? Is there some magic wand you can wave and make digital transformation happen overnight?
I wish there was. But the book, I think, does a good job of, debunking that myth right away. There is no quick fix.
Okay.
There's no one-size-fits-all solution. It really is a journey. It's not a destination.
Okay, so no magic wand, but where do you even begin?
Well, I think it starts with a mindset shift because one of the biggest myths out there is that, digital transformation is just a technology issue.
Right, like if I buy the shiniest new software, all my problems are solved.
Yeah, exactly. Like
Yeah.
if I just throw enough money at this, it'll all work itself out. But the reality is that technology is just a tool.
It's like buying a fancy oven and thinking you're going to be a gourmet chef.
Exactly. You can have all the best equipment in the world, but if you don't know how to use it,
Right.
it's not going to do you much good. So digital transformation is so much more than that. It's about your strategy, it's about your vision, and most importantly, it's about your people.
So step one is not go buy a bunch of software. It's figure out what we're actually trying to achieve.
Right. What are our goals?
Right.
What problems are we trying to solve? And then how can technology help us do that? Okay, so use technology to enable your vision, not the other way around.
Exactly. And another kind of myth that the book, I think, really dispels is this idea that digital transformation is only for these huge companies, with massive budgets.
Yeah, I can see how a smaller company would feel like they just can't compete.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But the reality is digital transformation is possible and it's essential for businesses of all sizes. In fact, you could argue it's even more critical for smaller businesses
Okay.
because they often have to be more nimble, they have to be more adaptable to compete.
So it's not about the size of your budget. It's about how strategic you are with those resources.
Exactly. And the book gives all these great examples of, small businesses that are doing amazing things
Right.
with digital tools and digital strategies,
Yeah.
leveraging social media, using e-commerce, using the cloud.
Yeah, they're not just leveling the playing field. They're finding ways to get ahead.
Exactly. They're proving that you don't have to be this big, huge corporation to thrive in the digital age.
Right.
You just need to be smart. You need to be willing to experiment. You need to be agile.
So speaking of agility,
Yeah.
one of the biggest fears around this whole digital transformation thing is job losses.
Right.
Yeah.
The robots are coming to take our jobs.
Right. And the book doesn't shy away from that.
No.
It really tackles that head on.
It does. And it acknowledges that, yes, some jobs will be automated. That's just the reality of how technology is advancing. But
Right.
it also emphasizes that digital transformation is creating a ton of new opportunities.
Right. So it's not man versus machine.
Right. It's about how do we work together? How do we use these technologies to create new and better ways of working?
So it's about evolving, not eliminating,
Exactly.
right? And preparing for those jobs of the future, not clinging to the jobs in the past.
Right. And that's where it becomes less about the technology and more about the people. Because we have to make sure that people have the skills, the
Right.
training, the support that they need to adapt and thrive in this new world.
It's about investing in your people and
Yes.
recognizing that they're your most valuable asset.
Absolutely. And, another kind of myth that I think the book really kind of busts is this idea that digital transformation is a one-time thing, you know?
Right, like you flip a switch and
Yeah, like you check it off your to-do list.
right, and that's it. We're done.
It's done. But it's really not. It's an ongoing process. It's a journey. It's really a fundamental shift in how you operate as a business. It's a commitment to continuously learning and adapting and evolving.
So it's not about reaching the finish line, it's about enjoying the journey.
Exactly. It's about creating a culture that is adaptable, that is innovative, that is always looking for ways to be better.
Wow. Well, this book really does cover it all. We just,
Mm.
scratched the surface. But I feel like I have a much better understanding of what digital transformation is, what it means, why it's important.
It's not just a buzzword. It's
Wow.
really a fundamental shift in how businesses operate. And this book is a great guide for navigating all of it.
It's about being innovative. It's about embracing those changes. And it's about using technology to create something better,
A better future.
a better future for your business, for your customers, for everyone.
Exactly.
Well, I want to thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive.
It was my pleasure.
I feel like I learned a lot. I hope our listeners did too.
Me too.
And for everyone listening, remember, digital transformation, it's a journey, not a race. Take it one step at a time. Don't be afraid to experiment and never stop learning. Until next time.